Hello and welcome everybody to the stream here over in the Fey Groves on twitch.tv/NetherVT. I am Cress Nether, your host, your resident Magitech support agent. Though I haven't been that for a long time, so it's all new. But hello everyone and welcome to the stream. Stum, well done on you getting first. Gamesy, well done on you getting second. And Sarah, virtually exhausted, congratulations on being third. Also, I believe Gamesy unfortunately was defeated by bandits. Sarah defeated a fairy. And Stomp defeated a dryad. Well done. Today is a bit different from usual because I haven't streamed on Wednesday in a while. So it's different. But yesterday I got access to the Daggerheart core rule book, which I thought I might want to share with all of you. We are going to take a look through the book. We are going to see kind of like how it's built up, what you can expect, and maybe a fun project would be to create what this book calls a campaign frame, which is basically a small, not so much, it's kind of in between a plot hook and a campaign setting, where there's not a lot to go off of, but what there is very evocative and allows for creativity to build upon. So it is for game masters that may expect to have some semblance of like structure, the skeleton of a setting, but also would like to build out from there along with their players. So, with that said, I think, if all goes well, we are over here. Yeah. And you should be able to see this. Good. Okay. So this is the cover. We have the Daggerheart cover. And as you can see, this is kind of evocative of like old movie posters, where you have like all of the floating heads and the monsters and the people fighting them, and it's I like how it evokes that sense of heroism. And of course, Daggerheart core rulebook. Let me zoom out just a moment for page width. Page width. Let's do this. We have our credits, of course. Haven't had the chance to look at all of it, but the art is fantastic. Yes, it is. It looks really good. So we have an introduction. We have chapter 1, preparing for adventure. We have chapter 2, playing an adventure. Oh, interesting. There's separation of these lines. I think that's a layout thing. We have, so introduction, chapter 1, preparing for adventure. Chapter 2, playing an adventure. Chapter 3, running an adventure. So that's the GM stuff. We have chapter 4, adversaries and environments. Then chapter 5 is the campaign frames, and there are 6 different frames or campaign frames that this book has, which are all very different and very separate campaign settings. While this is made by the people behind Critical Role, let me actually see if I can make the music fit a little better. I think I should go for Zelda and Chill. Bit calmer. But yeah, we go into the introduction, and as you can see, as Sarah's already said, the art is amazing. Look at this. That's really cool. Welcome to Daggerheart. Daggerheart is a collaborative fantasy role-playing game of incredible magic and heroic adventure. Yes, it is, or at least it should be. Well, obviously, you figure out, like, hey, what is a tabletop role-playing game? Very important for people who don't know. I don't think people who have zero experience with tabletop role-playing games are quick to pick this up. But it is still important to have that. And then the important thing, what kind of role-playing game is Daggerheart? Let me zoom in on this for a moment. Daggerheart is a heroic narrative-focused experience that features combat as a prominent aspect of play. So, combat is prominent. It is going to be the majority of the mechanics, pretty much. Like the character sheet that you get, it is about how easy are you to hit, how well can you take hits, what can you do to hit others. So it is very much a combat, a combat centered game, like most TTRPGs are. There are a few where it is specifically not the case. For instance, Dread, I would say, is combat averse. Let's see, we have Ooh, now I'm thinking. Fiasco is more narrative. The ones that I have, I'm just going through my mental bookshelf. Yeah, pretty much everything. You managed to defeat a Dryad Flutus. Well done. Enjoy your lurk. Okay, so let's move on to the second sentence of this paragraph. The system facilitates emotionally engaging, player-driven stories punctuated by exciting battles and harrowing challenges. So, that is also something that I particularly like. It is not so much... I don't so much enjoy just combat, which is something that I might come back to discuss things, but let's continue. The game takes a fiction-first approach, encouraging players and GMs to act in good faith with one another and focus on the story they are telling rather than the complexity of the mechanics. Oh, so the game specifically says, hey, don't worry about the game. Interesting. I know a lot of people will not like this. The rules provide structure when it's unclear how actions or movements will resolve within that story. Okay. Yeah. System takes a free-flowing approach to combat to avoid slowing the game down with granular rounds, and it doesn't rely on grid-based movement for maps and minis, so it doesn't rely on it. Okay. Might still come up, but still. These aspects coalesce to create a game that allows for the terrain and map building that miniature-based systems are known. Miniature-based systems are known for, while facilitating a streamlined narrative experience for players. Okay, so as I imagined, maps and minis can come up, but they're not necessarily integral. Ooh, Ray of Swords managing to defeat a dragon wormling as it should. Ray has a lot of swords. Welcome in. Good to see you, friend. If you're looking for a TTRPG that tells heroic fantasy stories with a modern approach to mechanics, focusing on both epic battles and the emotional narrative of the characters who fight in them, you've come to the right place. You kind of do. Could you elaborate on that first? Like, what do you like? I like how this seems like a good here come to my table for first-time players. That is a fair point. Yeah. Daggerheart also utilizes an asymmetrical design. It plays differently for the GM than it does for the players. That would make sense. Players roll 2 12-sided dice for their PC's standard actions, including their attack. The GM can make most moves without dice, but they roll a 20-sided die for adversary moves that require a roll. Okay, so this is going to be interesting. Players are less likely to roll high or low because they have the 2 12-sided dice. The GM can roll high, low, or in between. They can roll lower than the players, and they can just roll lower than the players, but they can't roll as high as the players. Because they can roll a 1, but they cannot roll a 24. Like how story first, mechanics second. I like that approach myself, yeah. Here, heart of the game. Daggerheart, you and your fellow players all take turns describing what your characters do. The GM determines the consequences. This seems very much obvious to me as a... I don't know if I'm a veteran TTRPG player, but I may be... May I call myself seasoned, perhaps? I have played it throughout multiple seasons. There is no winning or losing in Daggerheart in the traditional gaming sense. I'm glad they say it. This should be obvious for pretty much any tabletop role-playing game. Unless you specifically decide to do so with your group. Oh man, this has been a while. I played a scenario in D&D 5th edition where it was from the get-go, hey, you are going to die. You can determine how long that takes. Okay. Yeah, this is... No matter what happens during the story, as long as you're working together to craft a narrative that is fun and exciting to everyone, you've already won. The story is the point. Here are some things that Daggerheart is inspired by. So lots of TTRPGs. I saw a shout out specifically to Flea Mortals, because, as it says here, the monster design of Flea Mortals from MCDM Productions informed the enemy types and ways of managing minions, which is also... Yes, son, there are in fact frog people in this game. I believe they are called the Ribbits. As in ribbits. But this game takes inspiration from D&D 4th edition as well, based on like character powers and stuff like that. You may or may not be drawing Daggerheart inspired OCs. Oh, that is exciting. So as I said, lots of different TTRPGs and tabletop games, because I believe for the Queen from Darrington Press here, that is their own product. I believe that is a tabletop game rather than a role-playing game, but I could be very much wrong. I've also heard good things about Slug Blaster, which is silly, as far as I can tell. It's basically you play kids who go skateboarding into different dimensions and do stuff. Sarah, I'm wondering if this would be a good dice system for Humblewood, like genuinely calculating this in my head. Maybe. Is Humblewood is a 5th edition setting, right? From what I can tell. Sun says, I'm doing this also in the hopes other people will ask me to draw theirs for them. Yay! Yeah, 5th edition is setting. Okay, that's fair. 5th edition setting, not dishonest setting. We have some books. Sabriel by Garth Nix, Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin, Lord of the Rings, of Time, Wizard of Earthsea. That seems fitting for this kind of stuff. We have The Dragon Prince, The Legend of Vox Machina, Lord of the Rings, The Witcher, Guardians of the Galaxy, The Dark Crystal. Very much also like ensemble casts of like stuff happening. And of course, I mean, The Legend of Vox Machina is specifically the show of their own D&D campaign. So that does not surprise me, let's just say. We have video games, Borderlands, Dragon Age Inquisition, The Elder Scrolls, Outriders. I have not played Outriders. And then Special Appreciation. We made it, we liked it, we're using it, deal with it. Yes. Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, I would say, I think. Advantage, disadvantage system was inspirational in the dice mechanics of this game. That's fair. Blades in the Dark and Apocalypse World helped shape the narrative flow of the game. Playbooks inspired a lot of the character sheet development. Aww. Okay, core mechanics overview. There is the duality dice. So it's instead of a d20, you use 2 d12s. One represents hope, and one represents fear. When you roll to see whether your character succeeds or fails at a task or challenge, you roll your duality dice and take the sum of their results, then add any bonuses your character has that apply to the action. Very straightforward. You roll your dice, you add modifiers, that's what you get. The total is equal to or higher, so meets it, beats it. Then the difficulty set by the gem, your character succeeds. It's lower, they fail. You also tell the GM whether your hope or fear die rolled higher, as the situation around you changes based on that result. This is something, as they say, we'll discuss this more in depth in the core mechanics section of Chapter 2. That is an important thing for this game. You have, from what I can tell, 4 degrees of success. There is succeed with hope, succeed with fear, fail with hope, and fail with fear. Succeeding with hope means you want to do a thing, you do that thing, you also get like something extra. Usually, this is a resource that you can use later on. If you succeed with fear, you succeed at the thing you want to do, but the GM gets something extra. With failure, if you fail with hope, I want to figure out what that specifically does, but I believe you still get something. And fail with fear is like the thing you want to happen least, or like your characters want to happen least, because you don't manage to do what you want to do. and the GM gets something extra. So, talking about like how sessions and campaigns work, okay. Daggerheart is built to accommodate many kinds of stories. That's very important. Talking about how long a campaign could be, 10 session romps, a short 10 session romp, or just one session, a one shot. Okay. Then we get here the golden rule. This is, I think, what is very important game design wise. What do the developers think about their own game? What do they want to achieve with what they've made? And how do they see it being played? Very important here. The most important rule of Daggerheart is to make the game your own. So this is no longer theirs, it is mine now. Good to know. The rules included in this book are designed to help you enjoy the experience at the table, but everyone has a different approach to interpreting rules and telling stories. The rules should never get in the way of the story you want to tell. And this is a plural you here. All of you. My game now, nerds. As long as your group agrees, everything can be adjusted to fit your playstyle. If there is a rule you'd rather ignore or modify, feel free to implement any change with your table's consent. I can see a lot of people getting angry about this. Because for many people, this is going to be their evidence that says, oh, well, if I might as well play something else. So this game doesn't matter. I am not of that opinion. Yeah, son. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't understand. I don't understand that reasoning. It's The internet is predictable. So, oh yeah, I've seen people getting upset about this game already. Like this game has let me see. We are page 7. Okay, so I'm going to skip ahead a bit. Let's see. I'm going to skip ahead for just a moment to show you some of the game's cards. You might wonder, cards? This game has cards? Yes, this game has cards. Specifically, it has cards that show the different abilities of the different domains. We'll get to that in a moment. So you can have your character sheet and you can have your cards of the things that you can do. However, there is still space on the character sheet to write down what those cards are, so you don't need to have the cards, and you can print them for free. Well, you can download them for free and print them at cost. And this is a reason that people think, oh, well, this is not really a game for me because it has cards and I don't like when it has extra stuff. So we're going to go back to here. I see... Oh, Zairi, hello. Oh no, the choice that always exists for literally every game is explicitly spelled out on the page. How will they ever survive? Ah! Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's like some of the most fun things in TTRPGs is seeing what your GM homebrews. Yeah. Having an opinion is one thing, and not my taste. Criticizing other people is weird. I think so too. I understand people having opinions. And this is... I feel this is somewhat controversial in a way, especially in nowadays time. I feel like you have freedom.
Hey, Nether.
Oh.
Might be a good time to take a sippy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to stay hydrated. I should know, I'm a blow high.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the hydrate, Rick, and good evening. Lurking for now. Feel free to lurk, feel free to chat. It is up to you. Let's see. My coworker loved TCGs and TTRPGs and was like, I don't need a new game. Wait, there's cards! Uh-oh. Yes, very much that. You've lost your last 3 encounters. Well, the thing is, son, you now have a higher bonus to your next challenge, because every time you fail a challenge, you get a bonus to it. It's secret. It's hidden in the code. Yeah, we were here in the Golden Rule, and the rulings over rules. While playing Daggerheart, the GM and player should always prioritize rulings over rules. This book offers answers for many questions your table may have about the game, but it won't answer all of them. This specifically says, this game is not meant to be an all-encompassing simulation. There are hiatuses in the rules itself. There are things that we haven't thought of. Aw, son, thank you. So, when you're in doubt about how a rule applies, the GM should make a ruling that aligns with that narrative. This says, if you don't know what to do in a certain situation, don't look up the rules. Make a ruling. And this is, I think, very obvious in other games as well, where usually, and I do this, I do this in the games, in the groups that I play in, we do this, where it's like, hey, I don't exactly know how this works in the moment. I'm going to rule on this, and we can look it up later. Let's see. I would be so tempted to tell people who get upset about a rulebook saying you can change the rules about the time my D&D group played bird D&D, not the humanoid bird races, just literal birds. Zyri, I love that. That is so amazing. That's really cool. There is a good chance I'll be running a game, haven't decided a system, for a group that includes a woman in her 70s, and Daggerheart is seeming more and more like a good choice. That's really cool, Sarah. If you'd like, without doxing yourself or the people you play with, I want to know about this group, because that sounds amazing. All right, here. For example, Daggerheart has a weapon called a grappler that lets you pull a target close to you. If you try to use it to pull an entire castle, the weapon text doesn't forbid you from doing that, but it doesn't make sense within the narrative. Instead, GM might rule that you pull a few bricks out or pull yourself towards the wall instead. Other games... Yes, Alpine, this is not a D&D book. This is a system all of its own. So this is a very different approach to things compared to 5th edition, for instance. In 5th edition, you have a specific ruling that there is a difference between targets, objects, and creatures. If a spell says choose a target, or like a point or whatever, or if it says target a creature, there is a mechanical difference there. Daggerheart does not seem to make that difference. So far. From a class, African-American class, you took, and the group is the small discussion group you were in after lecture. Oh, that is really cool. Alpine, I appreciate you saying that. It doesn't help that this is my special interest, like my hyperfixation, which has It can complicate things for me. A mom in her 40s, a fellow spoonie, and a woman in her 70s. Aww. Bird D&D does sound amazing. Here. Similarly, if your character does something that would logically result in immediate death, such as diving into an active volcano without protection, I really had hoped that they would have chosen the example, such as diving off of a waterfall with sharp rocks underneath. Because that's something that happened in Critical Role. You might not get to make one of Daggerheart's death moves. Okay, there's death moves. So something happens when you go to 0 hit points or something of that nature that allows you to do a certain thing. Which normally gives you control of your character's fate in their final moments. Ooh, okay. This kind of consequence should be made clear before the action is completed. By, for instance, saying, "Are you sure you want to do that?" Oh, Alpine, thank you. As a narrative-focused game, oh, people are going to get upset about this. Daggerheart is not a place where technical, out-of-context interpretations of the rules are encouraged. This, I cannot interpret this in any other way than a big middle finger to people thinking, oh well, the rules allow this to happen, so I can make a peasant railgun. And yes, unfortunately, a peasant railgun is a thing that has been discussed to hell and back in D&D. Everything should flow back to the fiction, and the GM has the authority and responsibility, hey, to make rulings about how rules are applied to underscore that fiction. Okay, so there's a small overview here. Chapter 1, preparing for adventure. Everything you need to know to make a character in the Daggerheart system. Playing an adventure. Mechanics you'll need to play a session. How to level up your character. Multiclass to access new domains. That name has been coming up. And use special equipment you might discover during play. Running an adventure. Specifically for the GM. Giving you the tools you'll need to run sessions and campaigns. Detailing core GM mechanics. Using safety tools, running session 0, customizing campaign maps, planning story arcs, and more. The fact that they add safety tools in a description of the GM tools, I like that. Chapter 4. Adversaries and environments. Rules and stat blocks for filling your world with challenging adversaries and dynamic environments. I had heard about this. Environments have stat blocks. Like it's not just like you're in a forest. No, the forest has stats to allow the GM to go like, oh, random example. It is a old, like, cursed forest. The forest trees are rotten through to the core. One falls off, like, one falls down onto you. That is a specific mechanic for this forest, perhaps. Or follow this chapter's guidance to create your own. Yay! Help and tools to create your own things. Very much a given, but still important. And then the campaign frames. I want to look into this with you all as well, the campaign frames. Because as I said at the start, I believe it is kind of in the middle between a plot hook and a full campaign setting. The campaign frame is a skeleton upon which you can build a campaign and build out into like a full-on quote-unquote setting. With lore and stuff. And then, of course, let me put it back here. There we go. What do you need to play 2 to 5 players. Okay. A game master, game dice, tokens. Let's zoom in here. Character tokens are small objects that represent the look and feel of your character. Okay. Gather about 7 tokens per player to start. You will need more as your character's level as your character levels up. While the amount varies depending on the character build, you likely won't need more than 15 tokens at level 10. Okay. So this is basically say like, hey, you need counter any small object, plastic gems, pennies, or buttons. Okay. As you play the game, you'll use these tokens to help track several things. When you roll dice, you'll add tokens to help you easily count the modifiers on the roll. To use certain features, you might be required to place tokens on the card or character sheet. Okay. I think I understand people that don't like to people would rather use pen and paper to record these things rather than use tokens, pennies, chips. But I think I understand why the game tells you to use them. They are tactile. I know it very much feels like, ooh, click clacky, ooh, shiny rocks. Here, along with this rulebook, you also need the cards that come with a core set, ancestry, community, subclass, and domain cards. I feel that need is a soft need. I think you can play this game without the cards, you just need to reference them. And the cards will help a lot with that. The appendix contains a general character sheet and the guides you can use to build your character, but we recommend using the class-specific character sheets from Daggerheart.com for the best experience. The remainder of this rulebook will assume you're using class-specific sheets. Page 8. We have character sheet things here. No. Okay, so this is the base character sheet, but there are specific sheets for specific classes. Okay. Optional maps and miniatures. You can use maps and miniatures to represent the scenarios the players are facing, especially during battle, to more fully illustrate the scene, rather than relying on only narration and description. So, maps and miniatures versus theater of the mind. Both are... ah, darn it. Both are valid. It just really depends on what your group prefers and what your GM prefers. You're wondering how cards will work with demi-play. That is a good question. I believe that with demi-plane, because I have made a character before here, I wonder if that character's still here or if it needs to be adjusted to the current rules. Character engine updates found. Let me just work on that in the background. Then I can show you my character that I once made for a playtest game that just didn't happen. Player principles. We recommend following these principles when engaging with Daggerheart as a player to get the most out of the system. this is very much I feel it's like, hey, we can't say do this because people will say no if you let them. But it's very much like, hey, it'll be better if you do. Be a fan of your character and their journey. Yeah. Spotlight your friends. Also, yeah. Address the characters and address the players. I want to know more about what they mean here. Build the world together. That's an A in my book. Play to find out what happens. Absolutely. Hold on gently. I will also read that. But address the characters and address the players. Speak to the other characters within the world of the fiction. Lean on the connections you build together, ask them questions, and create a story using your conversations as well as your actions. Like that. Speak to the other players outside of the fiction. Ask them what their character might do and what they want to see happen in the narrative. As you play, be considerate of their preferences and desires. I like that it is like explicitly stated. This is something that it's not natural for me to do, especially this part, the last part, but it is something that I've learned to do in gaming groups that I have grown to trust and respect. For instance, with Hyrule Chronicles, I can say to Danny or Alvarez or RoboPirate, hey, my character would like to do this kind of thing. How do you think your character would react? And is that something that you want to play out? Or with Midnight Storm, especially now with Casimir and Vega being a romantic, being in a romantic relationship together, it is very much a case of like, hey, do we want to involve that sort of thing in the mechanics of the game? And how do we deal with that sort of thing? Because it's like an emergent storytelling device. Build the world together. I love this. I love world building, and I enjoy seeing how other people see like the stepping stones that I make to go and play within that. But I also very much enjoy having my players going like, hey, what if there's this extra bit of world building? What if with what you've made, this can slot in right in between, and just making the world a richer place together. Hold on gently. I wanted to know what this means. Improvisational storytelling isn't always perfect, and that's okay. Hold on gently to the fiction, enough that you don't lose the pieces that matter, not so tightly that the narrative has no room to breathe. Let yourself... darn it, I bit my tongue. Let yourself make mistakes and make changes. Smooth the edges and shape them to fit the story. Even if the story beats don't go the way you expect, or a sudden twist catches you by surprise, trust that a GM and your fellow players will all create something beautiful and memorable by the end. Ooh. I like how aspirational this is. I also know that the subreddit RPG horror stories exists. This could lead to cautionary tales. But that is more a people problem than a rules or a ideal problem. A table for all. Hey, might also be important to read this. Daggerheart is a game for players of all races, ethnicities, genders, faiths, sexualities, and identities. Yes. No fascists here. It is the responsibility of each player in the game to ensure that the table you share is a place where everyone is empowered, respected, and safe. Because of the nature of open-ended storytelling in role-playing games, it is possible to touch upon topics that might be difficult or sensitive for some players. Subject matter that might just be an imaginary scenario for you could bring up a real-life topic that is personal or uncomfortable for somebody else. When you gather to play for the first time, make sure that you talk through what kind of experience you're all looking to have, and bring up any themes or topics you'd like to avoid. Everyone should abide by this social contract and add to or modify it at any time as needed. I do have nuanced thoughts about this. In principle, I 100% agree with this, on principle. The Session 0 and Safety Tools section of Chapter 3 presents resources you can use to help navigate difficult scenarios together. Wonderful. I think the thing that I want to say here is, when you gather to play for the first time, Shell! Points! You defeat an ooze! Wonderful. When you gather to play for the first time, make sure that you talk through what kind of experience you're all looking to have and bring up any themes or topics you'd like to avoid. This is 100% good advice for people playing things for the first time. Lines and veils, which are a thing that will come up. Whose advice? Yes. Lines and veils are very important in the games that I've run to make sure that the things that people just don't want to come up do not come up. I will say, having read up on more things, that is not the only way you can go about these topics. I've touched on this a while back. There is a separate approach from you will be safe here, as in the things that you do not want to see, the things that you do not want to experience will not be there. You are safe here. Versus, I will not abandon you. There will be uncomfortable moments. There will be scary or painful moments, but we are there together. That is not a approach you can reasonably take with first-time players. Either online or in person, that is something you can only do when you've really gotten to know a person. I have not played in these kind of games myself, but it is something where I'm like, okay, I actually do want to see if I can delve into like harsher topics. Sarah says, I've had a Session 0 from hell that led to the game getting cancelled, so having it in such clear words. Yeah, oh, I'm so sorry that Session 0 from hell. Yeesh. It's no fun. We're almost an hour in and I'm at page 9. Oh, look at him! Look at him. Let me do this again. There we go. Better than Campaign from Hell. Yeah. Like talking over lines and veils convos. Wait. Sarah, if this is uncomfortable, you do not have to share, but what do you mean there? Talking over lines and veils convos, it was horrific? Like, people just didn't take it seriously? Preparing for adventures. Daggerheart encourages the exploration of worlds filled with great magic, wondrous landscapes, mythical beasts, dynamic factions, rousing mysteries, and powerful foes. Like nobody would shut up and we're giggling away during the Line of Veils conversation. Ooh. No. No, I wouldn't like that either. While the world your table collaboratively creates will be your own, Daggerheart has established ancestries, communities, classes, abilities, and spells, so some world-building aspects will exist similarly across every campaign. Okay. I have heard some people say, like, I don't like the setting of Daggerheart. And I'm like, but there's multiple settings. But I think that's what they mean with this. The core realms. Yeah, Shell, feel free to send it. I will check it out during break, and I think break needs to happen sooner rather than later, as I wasn't joking about the IBS. So I will be right back. Let's say that, and I'll continue with this afterwards.
Hey chat, might be a good thing to stretch your legs, straighten your back, take your meds if you need to, get something to drink, get comfy while you're at it.
Thank you very much, Heidi, for that advice. See you later. Hello! I'm still here! Alpine still has that fake clip of speaking of IBS, just living in my hand. Good. Look, I make shitty jokes, but it's a shitty topic to begin with. Cyrus says, I may have stayed up all night rushing through missions that were about to end in a game, and now I'm practically falling asleep at my desk, so I'm off to bed. Go sleep, Syrie. Sleep well. Daggerheart seems really interesting though, and I'll have to look into it sometime. Alvrans is mostly here too. Wonderful. I'm glad you're all here. Even if not fully. Oh. Small thing. Do you see this green thing here? Yeah. Those are tabs that you can see on the back, on the side of the pages. So you know, like, hey, this is chapter 1 or chapter 2 or chapter 3. Alpine says with their tummy issues, they expect IBS will catch up to them at some point. I appreciate approaching it with humor. Look, I've got nothing else. I was supposed to have a D&D session, and honestly, I don't know if the cancellation of the D&D session makes it worse, or if it was just meant to be. But I think it's the form. So we have a world overview. There is the core realms. We have the mortal realm, the prime material plane. Stories say this realm was created by the forgotten gods during the earliest age, and that these immortals traveled between the hallows above and this new plane as easily as waking from a dream. During this time, the gods were familiar to the mortals, and acts of divinity were commonplace, be they wonderful or terrifying. The forgotten gods were overthrown by the new gods. Many of these ancient deities were trapped within this plane eternally. This realm is also occupied by the faint divinities, lesser deities created by both the forgotten and the new gods to oversee the mortal realm. Many are considered to be quite capricious, and though their spheres of influence are smaller than the gods who created them, they can greatly influence the lives of mortals. That does seem very... It feels a bit copy-paste. Copy-pasted. Because, like, there's old gods, and now there's new gods. That is either, like, the Greek Titans and the Olympians, or it is, the primordials and the gods in Exandria. It doesn't sound original in any way. Not as bad. It's just this is not new. The hallows above, heaven. Circles below. Those who fought the most passionately during the uprising were banished. Yep. Known as the fallen gods. These deities lost divine war with the new gods during the earliest age and have since been deemed evil practitioners of tainted magic. Thus, the faint divinities who were banished alongside them are commonly referred to as demons, and those that descended from these creatures also bear the weight of that identifier. There we go again. Okay, I'm the most outspoken about this, apparently. Outspokenly negative. And then the realms beyond. Elemental lands, astral realm, valley of death, countless others. Okay. Magic and spells. depending on the kind of character you play, they may or may not have the ability to use magic. Magic in Daggerheart is both very powerful and incredibly dangerous, permeating the land and manifesting within the people. It's both a force within you that can aid you throughout your journey and a force outside of you that affects the world. Your character does have the power of spellcasting. You'll use magic through specific weapons, spells, and other means. As characters grow, the magic they can perform grows with them. Each level you gain cards that describe the new powerful magic they can wield and the specific parameters for using it. I'm now really interested in how you'd rather approach it. Honestly, and this is not something that I think you could add into a game immediately. You'd have to have some sort of underlying framework for it. The way I've done it in a campaign setting that I am Carnsol, that's the captions can't really get it right, but it is Carnsol is the setting that I've been running my D&D games in for over 10 years now. Or no, just 10 years. And the way I started building this was very, very standard D&D. Like, there's good, there's evil, there's neutrality. But I wanted the world specifically to be a contest between those principles of good, neutrality, and evil. I wanted neutrality to be a third option rather than just what is in the middle, that you're neither good or evil, that you're kind of like a mix. I wanted neutrality to be a separate thing. Hello, Leah! Bring the Fire Kitchen Party to your stream. Thank you so much for the raid. I hope you had a lovely time over at the Fire Kitchen. Leah, you were playing I kept forgetting, Lamplighters League? I hope you had a lovely time. Thank you so much for sharing your community here with the Fae Groves. Hello, my name is Cress Nether. In case you are not familiar, I am a Fae tuber, a VTuber, that focuses on TTRPGs and games. It's fun but very, very tense. I've seen some of that, and it does look tactically difficult. We are talking about the new game Daggerheart, which is a TTRPG that is published by Darrington Press, also known as the publishing house from Critical Role. We are just at page 12 of 415, as we're talking kind of like about the setup. And we were specifically just talking about how I would handle the basic fundamentals upon which character abilities and alignments and ancestries or species are kind of built. You're curious about this. I'm sure Grog has looked into it, but you definitely haven't. No worries. It is. Well, it just came out yesterday, officially. Like release version. There has been a playtest for a year or so. So Grog might have seen it from there. But Leah, now that you're here, would you like to see a short or a long raid video or nah? Are they still not doing a physical copy for Europe? They are, but it is delayed. I got a message about 2 weeks ago where they were like, hey, May 20th is approaching. You're not gonna get your stuff on that date, sorry. Short, please, let's see the highlights and let you get back to this cool new thing. Okay, in that case, we're going to go for a short video. I'll see you in about a minute. See you, bye. Now it's time for Silly Sounds with Nether. The time where Nether streams and makes some silly sounds.
Maya he, Maya ha, Maya ho, Maya ha ha.
Oh darn it, it's like an evil DVD logo. I don't even have to make jokes, the game does it for me. And they're about my level. By that, I mean terrible. Balls!
Wait, are you saying I have to use this?
Yes. Chew gum and kick ass.
What the
Thank you so much, everyone Kenobi, for the follow. That was the short raid video, which gives you just a little peek into what you can expect here. And thank you so much for raiding me, Leah Fireheart. That is very kind of you. And I hope that everyone that is here will have a lovely time. Yeah, so you can expect a little bit of there may be criticism about this game. There may be appreciation of certain things that they've put into explicit wording. I was just talking about how on the last page there are like core assumptions of a overarching system or an overarching setting. Like there's the mortal realm, the prime material plane, there's the hallows above, heaven, there's the circles below, hell, there's the realms beyond, like the elemental planes, the astral realm, the valley of death, as it said here, which feels very much like cookie cutter standard things that are plucked from the consciousness of all TTRPG players that have grown up with Dungeons and Dragons pretty much specifically. And Alpine asked how I would go about this if I were to write something like this, which I don't think I can give like a very straightforward answer to, because it is very much like, for me, what is the story you want to tell? What is the world that you want to see? For my own D&D campaign, I've specifically made the world to be a contest or a struggle between good, neutrality, and evil, with neutrality being a separate third thing rather than a muddling of good and evil. You found where I went to get less tension than Lamplighter. Oh, Alpine. But yeah, for that world, it is very much a specific thing that I made it a contest where there's these primordial forces, good, neutrality, and evil, and they want to see kind of like who is right amongst those three. They are not necessarily like persons with personalities that are similar to our own, but they are more forces of supernature, or ab-nature. And so they made the world to to kind of simulate who of them is right, who comes out on top. Over the years, I have edited that to hell and back, where it is like, oh, well, actually, it wasn't just 3. They were 5 principles, which became like an in-universe massive secret, where there were previous wars and contests between the servants of those principles, the actual quote-unquote gods or champions, because I called them champions specifically because I was going to run this campaign for people from my church and from my Christian student association. And so I was like, I don't want to call them gods. Because maybe my pastor will disagree. My pastor did play in that game, by the way, just so you know where we're standing. But it is, for me, it has always been like, do not make assumptions for other people's games. This feels very much like, well, we're just giving you this, and then you can build upon it or you can change it. And honestly, I'd rather didn't. I'd rather they just went with the campaign frames that they have in the back of the book and just go like, hey, use this. And I understand that they need this sort of thing to kind of underline the specific magic spells that they have, because there's like nature magic or death magic or celestial magic that they have, and they need to have a reason, hand wavy or other, for those things to exist. You need to be able to focus more on work and was too energized by lamplighter. That is fair. That is fair. Right, here. Flavoring your game. If the default portrayal of your character's mechanical effects doesn't fit them and their style, you can always describe them in a way that does. This is often called flavoring. However, unless your table agrees that flavor shouldn't offer any mechanical effect beyond the effect's existing description. Why can't I? Can I only just... Huh. Odd. Unless your table agrees that flavor shouldn't offer any mechanical effect beyond the effect's existing description. That is fair, yeah. But this flavoring your game, this is exactly what I mean. Like, you can change it, so why bother with this? Yeah. Character creation, getting started. Have a session 0. Think about character concepts. Excellent steps. But we're starting to get into the meat and potatoes of this game. Choose your class. First step of character creation is to choose the class you want to play. Yep. Each class is a role-based archetype that determines what abilities you have access to throughout the campaign. Yep. You might choose to play a guardian if you want to be the tank of your group who runs into fights head first and protects others with their own life. You might choose to be a wizard if you want to cast unique spells to solve problems, heal party members, and wield cunning battle magic. Once you've chosen a class, you also choose a subclass. Immediate choice. Very interesting. Subclasses are a subset of each class that further define your character's archetype. We have the following classes and subclasses. We have the Bard, a troubadour, or a wordsmith. I believe the character that I've made for the non-existent game, the playtest game, was in fact, yes, a Bard, a wordsmith. And I'll bring this up in a moment. The Druid, the Warden of the Elementals, or the Warden of Renewal. The Guardian. Play the Stalwart if you want to take heavy blows and keep fighting, or play the Vengeance if you want to strike down enemies who harm you or your allies. We have the Ranger, the The Beastbound, if you want to form a deep bond with an animal ally. Or the Wayfinder, if you want to hunt your prey and strike with deadly force. Then we have the Rogue, the Nightwalker, or the Syndicate. So the Nightwalker is more of an assassin, and the Syndicate is more the informant, the spy. We have the Seraph. The Seraph is kind of like a mixture of Cleric and Paladin. Play the Winged Sentinel if you want to take flight and strike crushing blows from the sky. Very cool. Or the Divine Wielder if you want to dominate the battlefield with a legendary weapon. Pretty neat. The Sorcerer, the Elemental Origin if you want to channel the raw power of the particular element. Or the Primal Origin if you want to extend the versatility of your spells in powerful ways. The Warrior. Play the Call of the Brave if you want to use the might of your enemies to fuel your own power. Interesting. Or the Call of the Slayer if you want to strike down adversaries with immense force. Oh. And the Wizard. Play the School of Knowledge if you want a keen understanding of the world around you. The School of War if you want to utilize trained magic for violence. Okay, interesting. Once you've chosen your class, grab the corresponding character sheet and character guide. Then decide on a subclass and take that subclass foundation card. We're talking about these cards again. Character sheet is for recording your character. Yep. If you're record your level, record character details, name and pronouns. Their character. For some people, their character's name and appearance comes first, and for others, it takes time to discover what's right. Yeah, that's fair. That is actually a fair point. I'm glad they say it takes time to discover what's right. It's like, don't fully worry about like doing this step by step. Sometimes things will come afterwards. And every class begins with a unique class feature or several. You don't have to write these down. They are provided at the bottom left of each class character sheet. These are features available only to your class. So these are specific to the character sheets of the specific classes instead of the generic character sheet. Step 2, choose your heritage. This is going to be the fun part. An ancestry and community. That is your heritage. So there are the Clank, Dracona, Dwarf, Elf, Fairy, Faun, Furbolg, Fungril, Galapa, Giant, Goblin, Halfling, Human, Infernus, Qatari, Orc, Ribbit, and Simia. And then for community, we have Highborn, Loreborn, Orderborn, Ridgeborn, Seaborn, Slyborn, Underborn, Wonderborn, and Wildborn. Languages. In Daggerheart, you're not asked to pick specific languages for your character. This game assumes that everyone speaks a common language. That sign language is widely understood across cultures and communities. I like that is specific here. That's specified to be widely understood. If you'd like to have specific regional languages in your campaign, discuss options with your table. Interesting. Then we get character traits. We have agility, strength, finesse, instinct, presence, and knowledge. High agility means you're fast on your feet, nimble on difficult terrain, and quick to react to danger. Make an agility roll to scurry up a rope, sprint to cover, or bound from rooftop to rooftop. Okay. Strength, lift, smash, grapple. High strength means you're better at feats than that test your physical prowess and stamina. Make a strength roll to break through a door, lift heavy objects, or hold your ground against a charging foe. Oh, so that has Constitution rolled into it as well. Okay. Finesse is kind of like separation of dexterity into speed and instinct or reflexes, and controlled movement. We have instinct, which feels like the wisdom equivalent. You have a keen sense of your surroundings and a natural intuition. You make an instinct roll to sense danger, notice details in the world around you, or track an elusive foe. Yeah. Insight, perception, survival. Presence, charisma, pretty much. And knowledge, and which is intelligence, pretty much, yeah. Trait modifiers. You start with a +2, +1, +1, 0, 0, and -1. Okay. If you ever need to refer to your trait modifiers as values, if a card or effect references your agility, presence, etc., a +2 would be considered 2, and a -1 would still be considered -1. If a domain card tells you to place a number of tokens equal to your character's knowledge on that card, and their knowledge is +3, you would place 3 tokens on the card. Okay? They have a negative modifier in the trait. You instead would place no tokens on the card, unless otherwise noted. Yeah, that makes sense. Record additional information. Evasion. The class's starting evasion appears right beneath the evasion field on your character sheet. Copy this number into the evasion field. Okay. As far as low, but that's because it's not their only means of avoiding damage. If they're hit, you also have the opportunity to reduce the incoming damage using armor. Interesting. You have hit points and you have stress. Hit points are an abstract reflection of your physical fortitude and ability to take hits from both blade and magic. Stress reflects your ability to withstand the pressures of dangerous situations and mental strain. Every class starts with 6 stress. Okay. There you go. Hope and fear. This is what I was curious about. Anytime you roll with hope on your duality dice, for the people that have joined us later, this is a 2d12 system. And you always keep those 2d12 kind of separate. You have like, you would usually pick like a lighter and a darker die for these options. If you roll a higher number on the lighter or the hope die, you roll with hope. You roll with the darker die, you roll with fear. Anytime you roll with hope on your duality dice, meaning your hope die rolled higher than your fear die, you gain a hope to a maximum of 6. During the game, you can spend hope to help your character's allies apply their life experiences to challenges and empower their spells and abilities. Life experience. That is a thing that I haven't seen come up yet. A barbarian made the system to make the D12 more popular. Alpine, you might be right on the money there, because the CEO of Critical Role, and thus the man in charge of Daggerheart through Darrington Press, is Travis Willingham, who famously played Grog Strongjaw. Yeah. So, if you instead roll with fear on your duality dice, the GM gains a fear that they can spend on certain effects. Sometimes a fear roll introduces other complications into a scene. even if you succeed on your roll. So that is a resource for the GM. Okay, so choose your starting equipment. Weapons. You can choose either a two-handed primary weapon or one-handed primary weapon and a one-handed secondary weapon, and equip them. Okay, choose your armor. Armor's damage thresholds indicate how much damage a character can endure before marking hit points. Add your character's level to both values and record the total for both numbers in the corresponding fields. So there is a difference or a separation here between damage and hit points, like one level of separation. You have a certain amount of hit points, that it could be like 8, 9, or 10, and then damage thresholds make a difference. If you, for instance, you have a threshold between minor and major damage, I think. Yeah, you have a threshold between minor damage and major damage. You have a threshold between major damage and severe damage. Let me actually bring over this character sheet that I have for that one game that I made. Well, the character I made for that one game I didn't play. I should have just pulled the tab along. Oh well. There we go. This is Aura. I'm sorry. She's a bee girl. You don't see that here. You see here minor damage. Sorry, minor damage, major damage, and severe damage. If an enemy rolls 1 to 5 damage, I mark 1 hit point. If they roll 6 or 11, think it's meet it, beat it. That would be 2. Oh, come on. And if it's severe damage, then it would be... Get my death move. By the way, I have very low hit points because my strength is -1. Get some lunch, Sarah. Enjoy your lurk. I do not like that you have to refresh. The page pretty much needs to be refreshed every time you mark. You have drawn your first ribbit. Oh no! Yeah, that is such a cute one. Thank you so much, Sunbury, for doing that. That's very, very fun. But yeah. And as I can see, this is kind of like how the spells work, or like the cards. You pretty much get like a little bit of a feature card. Like the bard gets a feature when you or an ally close to you makes a presence roll and either succeeds with fear or fails. You can spend 3 hope to negate that roll's consequences by intervening. Right. After armor comes starting items. You usually have, well, actually, no, you always have a torch, 50 feet of rope, basic supplies, a handful of gold, your choice of a minor health potion or a minor stamina potion. And either option on your character guide is specific to your class. So you get something for your class as well. Next, explore your character's background by answering the background questions in your character guide. Ooh, I want to see if we get, like, character guide soonish, so we can kind of see what that is. Several prompts are provided to jumpstart inspiration. You or the GM can modify or replace these questions to fit the character you're looking to play. If you're planning to play in a campaign, you can continue developing your character after the background questions in whatever way works best for you. Yeah! It is a living character. Just remember to give the GM your backstory so they can work any people, places, or ideas from it into the campaign. Also good, yes. Then, create your experiences. This was a thing that I was curious about. In Daggerheart, your character's experiences are one of the core ways you express their backstory and expertise through mechanics. An experience is a word or phrase used to encapsulate a specific set of skills. Particular set of skills your character has acquired over the course of their exciting life. The character starts with 2 experiences at character creation, each with a +2 modifier, and they'll earn more throughout your adventures. Before creating experiences, you'll want to have a solid idea of who your character is. Background questions are especially helpful for this. When you're ready, work with your GM to create 2 experiences that have shaped your characters. Okay. There is no set list of experiences to choose from, but there are examples that you can find here. And for Aura, I decided the experiences that I would get at first level would be Pretty Please and Never My Fault. I planned her to be a kind of a literal, like, preppy queen bee type of character. Because, well, she's a bee. Okay. Each experience should be specific. For example, talented or focused are too broad, as they can be applied to almost any situation. Instead, you might use swashbuckler or magic studies. Just be yourself. Exactly. Additionally, your character's experience can't give them spells or specific game abilities. For example, take flight or one-hit kill are too mechanically oriented. You might consider pilot or assassin instead. If you're not sure what experiences to take, consider the style of the campaign you're playing in and the actions you'll want to perform. In a standard battle-focused campaign, it's never a bad idea to take your character's first experience in something that will help with combat and the second experience in something useful outside of combat. Yeah, that's fair. Changing experiences. Your character has the opportunity to gain new experiences as they gain levels. However, if you discover that your character has outgrown a previous experience, or it doesn't feel right anymore, you're not stuck with the ones you've already chosen. For example, you might find that your character's stealthy experience no longer matches the head-on way they've learned to solve problems. Or perhaps your group likes to try to solve things diplomatically first, so your character's catch them by surprise experience isn't a good fit for the table's collaborative story. That's totally okay. Work with your GM to find experiences that better align with your storytelling and with the actions your character would be good at. Yeah. Then we have domain cards. Domains are the core building blocks of Daggerheart's classes. Following domains are included in this book: Arcana, Blade, Bone, Codex, Grace, Midnight Sage, Splendor, and Valor. Each domain has a domain deck, a deck of cards containing abilities and spells with a central theme or focus. For details on what each domain represents and how to use the domain cards, see the upcoming domains section. Each class in Daggerheart is formed by combining 2 of these domains. For example, the warrior class comprises Blade and Bone, the druid, Arcana and Sage, and the rogue, Midnight and Grace. That's an interesting setup. Like, if you play a certain class, you already have access to these 2 domains that you can pick and choose from whilst building your character. To start, look at all the level 1 cards from your class's 2 domains and choose 2 cards, returning the rest to their respective decks. Oh, hey, did I get an... No, I did not. I just had to send a message. Right. Each class shares its domain with at least one other class. Blade is shared by the Guardian and the Warrior, Sage shared by the Druid and Ranger, and Grace shared by the Bard and the Rogue. Interesting. If a fellow player's class has the same domain as yours, we encourage you to coordinate with them and choose different cards from that domain deck, even if your group has multiple copies. This way, each player feels distinct and shines when they bring their unique abilities to the story. However, if the GM and players agree, feel free to make an exception. Sharing cards is common when more than one player chooses the same class or when 3 or more players share the same domain. That's fair. As always, it comes down to open communication between the players and the GM. If you need extra copies of a card, you can download and print them at home. Or wherever you can print. Libraries exist. Then we have connections. Once your group is comfortable with their finished or almost finished PCs, summarize your characters for each other. At minimum, share their name, pronouns, character description, experiences, and the answer to the background questions, but feel free to include any details you'd like the other players to know. Then work together and to decide how your characters are connected and how they feel about each other. The connection section of your character guide provides inspiration, but you're welcome to create new questions. Okay. I do like... Initially, I like that this is basically like... You can tell the fellow players everything about your character. There's no indication like you should keep secrets from your fellow players about your character, which is something that I feel is common with making characters. But I don't necessarily know. So, work together to decide how your characters are connected and how they feel about each other. You can always turn down a question or relationship suggested by another player if it's not a good fit or not a relation you're interested in exploring. While it's great to create connections with every character, it's perfectly okay if you're not sure about some of them yet. You can always discover your relationships through play. These connections are a starting point to build on during the game. Nice. After the party's connections are complete, you're ready to play. The rest of this chapter contains resources to use when building your character, such as information on domains, classes, ancestries, and communities. Chapter 2 then presents the rules you'll use to play Daggerheart. An example character, a sorcerer, Marlowe Fairwind. Pronouns she, her, a lore-born elf with a primal origin. Okay, minor damage 7, major damage 14. Also starts with, I believe, 6 HP and 6 stress. Weapon dual staff, or jewel staff, instinct and far range. So it uses her instinct stat, and the damage die is 1d6 plus 3 magic. That is a magical staff. She has the experience Royal Mage and Not on My Watch. Leather armor, 6 and 13 are the base thresholds, and this is just one extra. I think that's a class thing, maybe. Sorcerer. Suggested traits. 0 agility, -1 strength, +1 finesse, +2 instinct, +1 presence, and 0 knowledge. So that is exactly as it is filled out. Suggested armor. Gambeson armor, 5'11", score 3, flexible, +1 to evasion. Player for Marlowe did not choose that. Inventory. Choose between minor health potion or minor stamina potion. Chose stamina, and either a whispering orb or a family heirloom. Do we have that somewhere? Maybe the dual staff is the family heirloom. Character descriptions. Choose one or more from each line or write your own descriptions. Oh, I like this. This is something they've done in Powered by the Apocalypse games and what's this again? I think also Quest. But you can choose like from these different descriptions or make your own. I like that it gives those options and then go like, but actually I want something else. If that is the case, that is good. Background questions here. What did you do that made the people in your community wary of you? Ooh. What mentor taught you to control your untamed magic and why are they no longer able to guide you? You have a deep fear you hide from everyone. What is it and why does it scare you? Then why do you trust another player so deeply, or player character? Barnacle trusts me because I am the closest thing he's ever had to a mother. Oh. What did I do that makes you cautious around me? Vivarian had a falling out with the king and is worried I might side with worried I might side with Emerus over them if it comes down to it. Garrick does not allow his inner circle to have personal relationships with anybody for fear they could compromise our work. We broke that rule many, many times. Sorry, the king does not allow his inner circle, but Garrick broke that rule with Marlowe. Ooh. And then tier 2 are levels 2 to 4, tier 3 is levels 5 to 7, and tier 4 is levels 8 to 10. For every level, you get to choose 2 options from this list to add to your character. You also get to multi-class. So we have the domains. There are 9 domains in the book. Arcana, the domain of innate and instinctual magic. Those who choose this path tap into the raw enigmatic forces of the realms, manipulate both their own energy and the elements. Arcana offers wielders a volatile power, but it is incredibly potent when correctly channeled. Blade is the domain of weapon mastery. Whether by steel, bow, or perhaps a more specialized arm, those who follow this path have the skill to cut short the lives of others. Wielders of Blade dedicate themselves to achieving inexorable power over death. Bone is the domain of tactics and the body. Practitioners of this domain have an uncanny control over their own physical abilities and an eye for predicting the behaviors of others in combat. Adherents to Bone gain an unparalleled understanding of bodies and their movement. Codex, the domain of intensive magical study. Those who seek magical knowledge turn to equations of powers recorded in books, written on scrolls, etched into walls, or tattooed on bodies. Codex offers a commanding and versatile understanding of magic to devotees who pursue knowledge beyond the boundaries of common wisdom. Grace is the domain of charisma. Through rapturous storytelling, charming spells, or a shroud of lies, those who channel this power define the realities of their adversaries, bending perception to their will. Grace offers its wielders raw magnetism and mastery over language. Midnight. Midnight is the domain of shadows and secrecy. Whether by clever tricks, deft magic, or the cloak of night, those who channel these forces practice the art of obscurity and can uncover sequestered treasures. Midnight offers practitioners the power to control and create enigmas. Sage is the domain of the natural world. Those who walk this path tap into the unfettered power of the earth and its creatures to unleash raw magic. Sage grant its adherents the vitality of a blooming flower and the ferocity of a ravenous predator. Splendor is the domain of life. Through this magic, followers gain the ability to heal and, to an extent, control death. Splendor offers its disciples the magnificent ability to both give and end life. And Valor is the domain of protection. Whether through attack or defense, those who choose this discipline channel formidable strength to protect their allies in battle. Valor offers great power to those who raise their shields in defense of others. And then we have the domain Circle, with Sorcerer being able to use Midnight and Arcana, a Druid Arcana and Sage, Ranger Sage and Bone, Warrior Bone and Blade, Guardian Blade and Valor, Seraph Valor and Splendor, Wizard Splendor and Codex, Bard Codex and Grace, and Rogue Grace and Midnight. That's how they all connect to each other. Right, reading domain cards. Very important. Each domain card includes 5 elements. Its level. You can only choose domain cards of your level or lower. Domain. Beneath the card's level, there is a symbol indicating its domain. Makes sense. You can only choose cards from your class's domains. Recall cost. Number and lightning bolt in the top right of the cards shows its recall cost. This doesn't affect you at character creation, but once you reach level 5, you'll have more cards than space in your loadout. Your set of 5 active cards. Okay, interesting. You get a certain amount of active cards that you can use. You can normally only move an inactive card from your vault to your loadout during downtime, but you can mark a number of stress equal to the card's recall cost to swap it immediately. Oh, that is interesting. Okay. That is curious. Then the type. 3 types of domain cards: abilities, spells, and grimoires. Abilities are typically mundane, spells are magical, grimoires are unique to the Codex domain, and are a collection of smaller spells bundled together. Some game mechanics only apply to certain types of cards. Interesting. And then feature describes what the feature is. Your chosen class grants the following: domains, starting evasion, starting hit points, class item, class feature, and class hope feature. And then subclass grants spellcast trait, if you're a spellcaster, foundation feature, the unique starting feature that establishes the identity and strength of the subclass, specialization feature, more advanced feature that you can gain when you level up. Some subclasses, the specialization feature is a new ability. For others, it expands the ability of the class or foundation feature, making it even more potent. And the mastery feature. Your subclass's most powerful feature, which you can gain at higher levels. For some subclasses, the mastery feature unlocks an extraordinary new ability. For others, it is the impressive culmination of their subclass's core feature. Ooh. I think it would be interesting to pretty much build a character with y'all. So we're now at the class. And this is the Bard page. There's some pretty neat art. And here as well. Yeah, get Troubadour, where presence is your spellcast rate. Your foundation features are gifted performer. For a relaxing song, you and all allies within close range clear a hit point. Epic song, you make a target within close range temporarily vulnerable. Interesting. Don't know what that means yet. Or heartbreaking song, you and all allies within close range gain a hope. A specialization feature is your rallying songs steal the courage of those who listen. When you give a rally die to an ally, they can gain a hope or clear a stress. And Virtuoso is the mastery feature. You are among the greatest of your craft and your skill is boundless. You can perform each of your gifted performer features songs twice instead of once for long rest. Oh, so you can use one of these for long rest normally, and then it is twice. Okay. I think it is time for a short break. While we're on break, I would like you... Let me see if I can... Yeah, we are here. I would like for you to think about which class you'd like us to make a character from. So we have Bard, Druid, Guardian, Ranger, Rogue, Seraph, Sorcerer, Warrior, or Wizard. I'm just going to put them in chat for a moment. Bard, Druid, Guardian, Ranger, Rogue, Seraph, Sorcerer, Warrior, Wizard. Discuss among yourself and listen to Hari.
Hey chat. Might be a good thing to stretch your legs,
Mhm.
straighten your back,
Mhm.
take your meds if you need to, get something to drink, get comfy while you're at it.
There we go. Hello, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. I just had a good break. I hope you did too. I put a poll in chat for what class our characters should be. We have Bard, Druid, Guardian, Ranger, Rogue, Seraph, or Sorcerer, Warrior, Wizard as options, and then we can kind of go from there. In case you want to have your say, you can have your say that way. And I'll be making a new character for this system. Let's see how this goes. We have that set up, so we can go about this. But we have kind of looked at the overview of the classes, but every class has a red, and then its spells or abilities. Guardian is very simple. Rogue, also pretty simple. Seraph, Sorcerer, Warrior, Wizard. Wait, why is the Druid so... because it has beast form options. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. That is why it's a bit beefier than the others. Then we have Ancestry. Beware, there are probably going to be some bugs or bug-shaped people coming up. Just so you know. Just, yeah, there's bugs here already. Never mind. Ancestries represent your character's lineage, which affect their physical appearance. The following section described each ancestry in Daggerheart and the physical characteristics shared by members of that ancestry. That said, you can decide that your character possesses characteristics that aren't standard or average for that ancestry. We encourage you to look to the art for inspiration and explore the diversity within individual ancestries as you craft your character's appearance. We have a Ranger, a Rogue, or a Seraph. Okay, then we create a new one. There we go. For what class? Because we got one vote on these three. So if you want to vote again, I know it's a hassle. But the ancestries that we have the Clanks. Sentient, mechanical beings built from a variety of material, including metal, wood, and stone. They can resemble humanoids, animals, or even inanimate objects. Like organic beings, their bodies come in a wide array of sizes. Because of their bespoke constructions, many Clanks have highly specialized physical configurations. Examples include clawed hands for grasping, wheels for movement, or built-in weaponry. Look at that. You like these sketches. That's very cool. Elder Clank. It's the Robo-Pope. We then have the Dracona of the Dragonborn. Yeah. Tails can be long, short, or non-existent. They can be thick or thin and scaled, smooth, spiked, or scented with hair. Oh, that's pretty cool. Also, there's features that every ancestry has. What are the features of the Clank's purposeful design? Decide who made you and for what purpose. It's character creation. Choose one of your experiences that best aligns with this purpose and gain a permanent +1 bonus to it. Oh, that's pretty cool. Efficient. When you take a short rest, you can choose a long rest move instead of a short rest move. Okay. Very neat. Draconas. Your scales act as natural protection. When you would take severe damage, you can mark stress to mark 1 fewer hit points. Elemental breath. Choose an element for your breath. Electricity, ice, or fire. Such as. Use this breath against a target or group of targets within very close range, treating it as an instinct weapon that deals D8 magic damage using your proficiency. We have Dwarves. Thick skin. When you take minor damage, you can mark 2 stress instead of marking a hit point. Okay. And spend 3 hope to halve incoming physical damage. Dwarves have naturally thick and tough skin, hair, and nails. Their thick skin offers extra protection from minor hazards. This allows dwarves to decorate their bodies in a variety of ways, from tattoos to piercings, and even embedding gemstones into their skin. Very cool. Also, bearded ladies is very cute. Their hair tends to be thick and grow quickly. Dwarves, all genders, often grow out their facial hair for stylings. Yay. Due to the thickness of their nails, they can be ground down and shaped. Because of this, they often look faceted. That's really cool. I love these sketches. They are so cool. So, elf. Typically tall, humanoids with pointed ears and acutely tuned senses. Their ears vary in size and pointed shape, and as they age, tips begin to droop. While elves come in a wide range of body types, they're fairly tall, 6 to 6.5 feet. Quick reactions mark stress to gain advantage on a reaction roll. During a rest, you can drop into a trance to choose an additional downtime move. I think with those downtime moves, instead of like regaining everything, you can choose to regain certain things in a way. Most elves' appearances don't drastically change until they reach the later years of their life. As an elf ages, their ears change. A young elf's ears point upward and are stiff, while an elder elf's ears tends to droop downwards. Okay. Mystic form elves can be shaped by a variety of aspects from nature or magical practice, so influences from the elements are common. Some others may be altered by stars or celestial bodies. Oh, really cool. Seraph it is. Okay, I'm just going to write these suggestions down. Seraph. And Seraph, we have 2 options: Divine Wielder or Winged Sentinel. So, rule number 3. Boss, Divine Wielder, Winged Sentinel. Let's put 2 minutes on that. And then we go back to the ancestries. There was a list of ancestries somewhere. Ah, it's over here. I think this, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. We'll be able to get through that, I think. Then we come to the fairy. This is kind of the insect content warning. Winged humanoid creatures with insectile features. cover a broad spectrum from humanoid to insectoid. Some possess additional arms, compound eyes, lantern organs, chitinous exoskeletons, or stingers. Oh, look at him! Them so buff! Average height of a fairy ranged from about 2 feet to 5 feet. Some fairies grow up to 7 feet tall. Oh, so they can be big or small. Luckbender. Once per session after you or a willing ally within close range makes an action roll, you can spend 3 hope to re-roll the duality dice. Oh, very powerful. Wings! You can fly! While flying, you can mark a stress after an adversary makes an attack against you to gain a +2 bonus to your evasion against that attack. Very cool. Then we get to the fawn. Oh, they are cute! And for full-ended, no selections. Okay, I'll have to make that selection myself. Capron Leap. You can leap anywhere within close range as though you were using normal movement, allowing you to vault obstacles, jump across gaps, or scale barriers with ease. And kick. When you succeed on an attack against a target within melee range, you can mark a stress to kick yourself off them, dealing an extra 2d6 damage and knocking back either yourself or the target to very close range. Right, I was thinking about a Divine Wielder sound like it gave you more options. Okay, we can go Divine Wielder. Then I am going back to that list here for this poll. What ancestry? The responses, I can choose 5 options. So Clank, Dracona, Dwarf, Elf. Oh, I don't think I'm going to have enough space for this. Fae, Fawn, Verbal, Fungril, Lapa, Giant, Goblin, Halfling. I'm shortening some of these because I don't have enough space. Human, Infernus, sorry. Oh, yeah. Ribbit or Stimia. I'm going to put 3 minutes on this. So it is Clank, Dracona, Dwarf, Elf, Fae, Fawn, Fillerbolg or Fungril, Galapa, Giant, Goblin or Halfling, Human, Infernus, Katari or Orc, or Ribbit or Simia. And unfortunately, I can't make it any easier. Let's see. We had the Fawn and then the Furbolg, bovine humanoids, typically recognized by their broad noses and long drooping ears. This is very much like 5e, because Furbolg traditionally were not looking like this. Oh no, I love all of them. Yeah. Oh, look at this one. That is a bard. Cute. Some Furbolg have humanoid faces, while others have the heads of cows, oxen, or other bovine creatures. These are called minotaurs! It does feel like it's set up to make your favorite CR characters. Yeah, very much so. They have a charge. When you succeed on an agility roll to move from far or very far range into melee range with one or more targets, you can mark a stress to deal 1d12 physical damage to all targets within melee range. Oh. When you would mark a stress, roll a d6 on a result of 6. Don't. Then we get to the fungrel. These are just fun guys. They resemble humanoid mushrooms. They can be either more humanoid or more fungal in appearance. They come in an assortment of colors, from earth tones to bright reds, yellows, purples, and blues. Fungrel display an incredible variety of bodies, faces, and limbs. There's no single common shape among them. Even their height range from a tiny 2 feet tall to a staggering 7 feet tall. 2 feet seems to be the cutoff here. Or for the ancestries. While the common lifespan of fungrel is about 300 years, some have been reported to live much longer. They can communicate non-verbally, and many members of this ancestry use a mycelial array to chemically exchange information with other fungrel across long distance. Make an instinct roll to use your mycelial array to speak with others of your ancestry. On success, you can communicate across any distance. Oh, that is pretty cool. And death connection. When touching a corpse that died recently, you can mark a stress to extract one memory from the corpse related to a specific emotion or sensation of your choice. Oh, that is pretty cool. We have Faithful, Furbolg, or Fungrel. Thank you. Furbolg. No, fairy fawn. Fawn? Furbolg. Fungrel. What ancestry? 2 minutes. Most fungrel grow fungus or mushroom caps on their head and body. These caps can grow in a variety of styles. Some fungrel have one cap while others have many caps. Caps may also be modified or cultivated to grow into particular shapes. They grow continuously throughout their life, so they often trim or shape them for comfort. As they age, their caps lose stiffness and may begin to sag. Oh, this is so cool. Look at it. You have young fungrel, adult fungrel. There is so much you can do with all of these for styling characters. Look at the Galapas. Galapa, it's plural. Galapa resemble anthropomorphic turtles with large domed shells into which they can retract. On average, they range from 4 feet to 6 feet in height, and their head and body shapes can resemble any type of turtle. Galapa come in a variety of earth tones, most often shades of green and brown, and possess unique patterns on their shells. Members of this ancestry can draw their head, arms, and legs into their shell for protection to use it as a natural shield when defensive measures are needed. Some supplement their shell's strength or appearance by attaching armor or carving unique designs, but the process is exceedingly painful, more like tattooing. Most Galapa move slowly no matter their age, and they can live approximately 150 years. Shell. Gain a bonus to your damage thresholds equal to your proficiency. Mark a stress to retract into your shell. While in your shell, you have resistance to physical damage, you have disadvantage on action roll, and you can't move. A fungrel it is! Wonderful. And then I think the only big choice, outside of like choosing what kind of abilities and such. Oh, look at him. So cute. Shells that are damaged can be temporarily mended or supported like any broken bone. Otherwise, it takes up to 2 years for a damaged shell to fully recover. Oh, I don't like that time. Giants. Though they can have up to 3 eyes, all giants are born with none and remain sightless for their first year of life. Until a giant reaches the age of 10 and their features fully develop, the formation of their eyes may fluctuate. Okay. Huh. Interesting. Long arms, wide chests, and long necks. Gain an additional hit point slot for character creation, and you treat any weapon, ability, spell, or other feature that has melee range as though it has a very close range instead. Okay, so there is a separation. Melee is kind of like you're just immediately next to each other. Very close is 5 to 10 feet. So they have a bit wider reach. Goblins, look at their ears! Easily recognized by their large eyes and massive membranous ears. Keen hearing, sharp eyesight, they perceive details both at great distances and in darkness, allowing them to move through less optimal environments with ease. Variety of skin tones. Roughly 100 years. This is such good art, yeah. Hi, Sarah. Welcome back. We're going to be making a character. So far, we have chosen a divine wielder seraph who's going to be a fungrel. I don't think you've seen them, but just in case. Look at them. They have mushroom caps that continuously grow, so they can shape and style them. And then, as they age, they become floppy. I'll bet people know what I'm playing. I don't think I know you well enough to think you have a favorite immediately. To know what favorite you might have. What goblin traits do they have? Sure-footed, you ignore disadvantage on agility rolls, and once per rest, mark a stress to force an adversary to reroll an attack against you or an ally within very close range. Okay, they're nimble, they're dodgy. That's the wrong word. They can dodge. Halflings! Roughly half the height of the average human. 3 to 4 feet in height. That seems, I would say more 2.5 to 3 and a bit. At the start of each session, everyone in your party gains a hope. Oh, that is lovely. That is just everyone in your party. Boom. An internal compass. When you roll a 1 on your hope die, you can re-roll it. Something that Sam Regal never did. Halflings are often perceived to be youthful in appearance, even after reaching adulthood. Only when a halfling reaches the last decade of their life do they show the obvious signs of aging. Oh. Bernard, why are they so cute? He did it once. Fair. Humans! Most easily recognized by their dexterous hands, rounded ears, and bodies built for endurance. Their average height ranges from just under 5 feet to about 6.5 feet. They have a wide range of builds, with some being quite broad, others lithe, and many inhabiting the spectrum in between. Physically adaptable, just to harsh climates. Humans live to an age of about 100, with their bodies changing dramatically between their youngest and oldest years. They have a high stamina, they gain an additional stress slot at character creation, and when you fail a roll that utilized one of your experiences, you can mark a stress to re-roll. It is commonplace for humans to incorporate both magical and mechanical tools, accessories, and items that assist their daily life and tasks. often dressed to clearly display social status, wealth, personal faith, or aesthetics. Is that only humans? Or is that more like we don't know what else to put on with humans? Also, there is a prosthetic foot here. He did wants to keep the cursed dagger. That's true. Yeah. I remember that now. We have the Infernus. Infernis are humanoids who possess sharp canine teeth, pointed ears, horns. They descended of demons from the circles 5 feet to 7 feet, known to have long fingers and pointed nails. Some have long, thin, smooth tails, and in points, forks or arrowheads. It is common for Infernus to have 2 or 4 horns, though some have crowns of many horns or only 1. These horns can also grow asymmetrically, forming unique, often curving shapes that Infernus enhance with carvings and ornamentation. Assortment of colors include soft pastels, stark tones, or vibrant hues, such as rosy scarlet, deep purple, and pitch black skin. They possess a dressed visage that manifests both involuntarily, such as when they experience fear or other strong emotions, or purposely, such as when they wish to intimidate an adversary. Can briefly modify their appearance in a variety of ways, including lengthening their teeth and nails, changing the colors of their eyes, twisting their horns, or enhancing their height. They can live up to 350 years, with some attributing this lifespan to their demonic lineage. Fearless. When you roll with fear, you can mark 2 stress to change it into a roll with hope instead. Okay. And the dread visage. Advantage on rolls to intimidate hostile creatures. Look at them. Infernis can have any number of horns. Their horns are not determined by their parentage, but rather are unique to each individual. They can be of any shape and size. They often decorate or modify their horns. Some Infernis have tails that are long, thin, and smooth. Forked or arrow-shaped. Then we have the Qatari, feline humanoids with retractable claws, vertically slit pupils, and high triangular ears. They can also have small pointed canine teeth, soft fur, and long whiskers that assist their perception and navigation. Qatari appearances can range from more feline to more humanoid with subtler feline features. About half of the Qatari population have tails. Their skin and fur come in a wide range of hues and patterns, including solid colors, calico tones, tabby stripes, and an array of spots, patches, marbling, or bands. Their height ranges from about 3 feet to 6.5 feet, and they live for around 150 years. Feline instincts. When you make an agility roll, you can spend 2 hope to re-roll your hope die. And retracting claws. Make an agility roll to scratch a target within melee range. On a success, they become temporarily vulnerable. Some Qatari are digitigrades, naturally standing on their toes, while others are plantigrades, naturally standing flat-footed or on their heels. Qatari always have feline ears, even when they are very humanoid in appearance, and all Qatari have vertical slit pupils. I say this affectionately. This is furry bait. Then we have orcs. Humanoids most easily recognized by their square features and boar-like tusks that protrude from their lower jaw. With various sizes, and though they extend from the mouth, they aren't used for consuming food. Instead, many orcs choose to decorate their tusks with significant ornamentation. They typically live for 125 years, and unless altered, their tusks continue to grow throughout the course of their lives. Their ears are pointed, and their hair and skin typically have green, blue, pink, or gray tones. They tend towards a muscular build, and their average height ranges from 5 feet to 6.5 feet. They are sturdy. Attacks against you have disadvantage when you have 1 hit point remaining. Very cool. And when you succeed on an attack against a target within melee range, you can spend a hope to gore the target with your tusks, dealing an extra 1d6 damage. I like that. Kind of reminds me just a little bit of the orcs in my setting, which aren't specifically different in any way, shape, or form. But I gave them kind of a reasoning behind them having greenish skin, in that their blood is not iron-based, but copper-based. And so orcs would tend to they tend to have like bits of copper ore that they rub on their tusks, both to give them a patina as well as to ingest copper. Orcs' tusks tend to be fairly prominent and can grow in a variety of ways depending on the individual and parentage. They can be carved or ornamented. Very cool. Top tusks are rare, and doubles set top and bottom are very rare. We have the ribbit! I'm going to send... this to Sun. Ribbits! They resemble anthropomorphic frogs with protruding eyes and webbed hands and feet. They have smooth, though sometimes warty, moist skin, and eyes positioned on either side of their head. Some ribbits have hind legs more than twice the length of their torso, while others have short limbs. No matter their size, ranges about 3 feet to 4.5 feet, ribbits primarily move by hopping. All ribbits have webbed appendages, allowing them to swim with ease. Some ribbits possess a natural green and brown camouflage, while others are vibrantly colored with bold patterns. No matter their appearance, all ribbits are born from eggs laid in the water, hatch into tadpoles, and after about 6 to 7 years, grow into amphibians that can move around on land. Ribbits live for approximately 100 years. Young ribbits have short tails that shrink as they mature, as well as proportionally large eyes, hands, and feet. I love the drawing for this young ribbit with the sword and shield, because I know what that's from. Because that's Frog from Chrono Trigger. And then we have the Simia. Anthropomorphic monkeys and apes with long limbs and prehensile feet. Their appearance reflect all simian creatures, from the largest gorilla to the smallest marmoset. Their size does not align with their animal counterparts, and they can be anywhere from 2 to 6 feet tall. All simia can use the dexterous feat for non-verbal communication, work, and combat. Additionally, some also have prehensile tails that can grasp objects or help with balance during difficult maneuvers. These traits grant them unique agility that aids them in a variety of physical tasks. In particular, simia are skilled climbers and can easily transition from bipedal movement to knuckle walking on climbing and back again. On average, they live for about 100 years. They are natural climbers, and they are nimble, gaining a permanent +1 bonus to your evasion and character creation. Oh, these are looking cool. Then we have... Let me see. Oh, that is some baller art. If you want to play a mixed ancestry, you can. When you choose an ancestry at character creation, write down how your character identifies himself in the heritage section. For example, your ancestry could be Goblin, Orc, or just Goblin, with Orc in their lineages, or a name you choose like Toothling. Work with your GM to choose 2 features from the ancestries in your character's lineage. You must choose the first feature from one ancestry and the second from another. Write both down on a note card you can keep with your other cards or next to your character sheet. If your character's heritage includes more than 2 ancestries, you can only choose features from 2. You can represent additional ancestries through their appearance or backstory. I'm going to put a poll in for just a moment. Just a minute. If you want us to make a mixed ancestry character. And after this, we have community. That is also a thing that we can poll. I am honestly very happy that they've gone the split direction of having both ancestry and community. Like how you were raised, where you were raised, and kind of like your direct family, your lineage. So there's a couple of options that we have here: Highborn, Loreborn, Borderborn, Ridgeborn, Seaborn, Slyborn, Thunderborn, Wonderborn, and Wildborn. Highborn community, you're accustomed to a life of elegance, opulence, and prestige. Traditionally, members of a highborn community possess incredible material wealth. While this can take a variety of forms depending on the community: gold, minerals, land, or controlling the means of production. Seize the means of production. This status always comes with power and influence. Highborn place great value on titles and possession. They often control the political and economic status of the area in which they live. Health and safety of the less affluent people who live in these locations often hinges on the ability of this highborn ruling class to prioritize the well-being of their subjects over profit. Let's hope this is not a capitalist society. You have privilege. You have advantage on rolls to consort with nobles, negotiate prices, or leverage your reputation to get what you want. You have Loreborn, from a society that favors strong academic or political prowess. You're well read. You have advantage on roles that involve the history, culture, or politics of a prominent person of place. Look at this, what a library. You then have Orderborn. You are from a collective that focuses on discipline or faith. You uphold a set of principles that reflect your experience there. Record 3 sayings or values your upbringing instilled in you. Once per rest, when you describe how you're embodying one of these principles through your current actions, you can roll a d20 as your hope die. Nice. Ridgeborn. You've called the rocky peaks and sharp cliffs of the mountainside home. You have advantage on rolls to traverse dangerous cliffs and ledges, navigate harsh environments, and use your survival knowledge. T-Born. Oh, look at that. That's some... Ah, I love this art. Being part of a seaborne community means you've lived on or near a large body of water. Community feature is Know the Tide. You can sense the ebb and flow of life. When you roll with fear, place a token on your community card. You can hold a number of tokens equal to your level, or you make an action roll and spend any number of these tokens to gain a +1 bonus to the roll each token spent. I feel like that is very powerful. Slyborn. Being part of a Slyborn community means you can from a group that operates outside the law, including all manners of criminals, grifters, and con artists. Community feature is Scoundrel. I'm not getting through my words anymore. You have advantage on rolls to negotiate with criminals, detect lies, or find a safe place to hide. Underborn. It means you're from a subterranean society. When you're in an area with low light or heavy shadow, you have advantage on rolls to hide, investigate, or perceive details within that area. Very neat. Some nice underground city there. We have the Wonderborn. Wait. Hot air balloon tents? Oh, this is cool! Being part of a Wonderborn community means you've lived as a nomad, forgoing a permanent home and experiencing a wide variety of cultures. You added Nomadic Pack to your inventory. Once per session, you can spend a hope to reach into this pack and pull out a mundane item that's useful to your situation. Work with the GM to figure out what item you take out. Oh no! Oh no, I love them! And Wildborn. You live deep within the forest. Wildborn communities, defined by their dedication to the conservation of their homelands, many have strong religious or cultural ties to the fauna they live among. Oh, big tree. Your movement is naturally silent. You have advantage on rolls to move without being heard. Okay, so that is community, and there was a list of communities that you can choose from here. So we're going to use this for the poll. What community? Highborn. High Lore Order. Ridge. Sea. Fly. Under. Wonder. Wild. Let's do that for 3 minutes as we're talking through additional player guidance. Provides guidance for playing disabled characters in Daggerheart. Right. Some abilities and spells in Daggerheart designate the use of particular assets and senses, including sight, sound, touch, and movement. Like players, characters can be blind, deaf, or mute, have disabilities or limb differences, or possess any number of unique qualities that occur among individuals. Just as there is no set style for weapon combat, there's no set style of spellcasting within Daggerheart. No spell requires specific language or motions. For example, sign language is equally viable for a wordsmith bard as anything spoken aloud. Very cool. If instructions in the game aren't a good fit for your character's abilities, such as a blind PC spell affecting a target you can see, work with your GM to adjust the requirements of that effect. For example, you might choose to make one of the following adjustments to the rules or campaign. Utilize another sense, a target you can hear, specify the mechanical range, add narrative character details like the PC using an aid or magical means to perceive the target, or address it through world building. The Mortal Realm is accessible for disabled characters. Nice. Supporting the enjoyment of everyone at the table means modifying the spell's abilities and other aspects of Daggerheart as you see fit. We invite you to adjust the flavor of cards based on the lines and veils established by the group. For example, a player might want their druid to use the Conjure Swarm spell, but either they or another player feel uncomfortable with bugs. In that case, they could conjure other objects such as flower petals, small birds, or even a specific bug, such as butterfly, that everyone is comfortable with. All players, including the GM, should abide by the customizations made to accommodate one another. 100 points. Playing Disability with Purpose and Respect by Rudicki. That is also pretty cool. Portraying lived experiences such as disability other than your own is a powerful way to broaden your perspective when done with respect. Equality, disability, accessibility, and accommodations are a meaningful part of fantasy world building. It's important for players interested in exploring these elements at the table. It's important to take care to avoid stereotypes and learn from disabled people themselves. Like other marginalizations such as race, gender, and sexuality, disability is just as much an identity as a state of being. When playing a disabled character, it's important to remember that disabilities are a part of people, not a mask they can take off. Different individuals have different experiences with their disability, such as how long they've been disabled, society has treated them because of it, and how accommodations for their disability are handled. All of these elements are important to consider when building a character. NPC or fantasy world with accommodations. Pretty cool. How they go into depth here. There is the combat wheelchair. By Mark Thompson, yeah! That's the guy. That's really cool. There's Devin Rue playing a blind or visually impaired character. Devin Rue also makes really cool maps. Playing a deaf character by Rogue and Shannon. And then we have Chapter 2 playing an adventure. I think I'm going to take another break, and then we are going to make a character here. So, as Harry says...
Hey chat, might be a good thing to stretch your legs, straighten your back, take your meds if you need to, get something to drink, get comfy while you're at it.
Bye-bye. hello again. We are going to be making our character now. It immediately asks for character name and pronouns. I am going to just not do that yet, because we have some choices we had made before. We are going into our class first, and we're going to choose a seraph. Select it. Where we need to choose a subclass. We are going for Divine Wielder. On spellcasting, the Spirit Weapon, and Sparing Touch features. So, specifically we get Spirit Weapon. When you have an equipped weapon with a range of melee or very close, it can fly from your hand to attack an adversary within close range and then return to you. You can mark a stress to target an additional adversary within range with the same attack roll. I think close range is something like 10 to 20 feet. So we set our traits. We can distribute +2, +1, +1, 0, 0, -1. Our suggested traits would be +0 agility, 2 strength, 0 finesse, 1 instinct, 1 presence, and 1 knowledge. Let's go for that for now. Our starting weapon. A hallowed axe and a round shield. Okay. We have the option of a broadsword, cutlass, grappler. Ooh. Goes off of instinct. That's a +1. Not necessarily what we are looking for. And this goes off strength. This goes off finesse. A cutlass goes off presence. Broadsword goes off agility. Oh, I think it makes sense to go for the axe then. That's fair. And it's magic damage. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's go for that. And then round shield does damage, and it is protective, a +1 to armor score. Ah. This is a tier 1 weapon? Huh. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But let's go for the suggested round shield. The suggested armor is chainmail armor. Armor score 4. It is heavy, a -1 to evasion. What's the separation? So the base threshold is lower than full plate, but that is very heavy, -2 to evasion and -1 to agility. So we we already have a 0 there, so we don't want a -1 there. Chainmail it is. I think with this we want to go for health because we might get into the thick of things. We can either get a bundle of offerings or a sigil of your god. I think as a seraph, we might want to select a sigil of our god or deity. And then we have domain deck cards. We have Valor and Splendor as our domains. Honestly, we could go bare bones and disregard our armor here. Yeah, we are not going to wear any armor. We are just going to be cool as fuck. Then we have Bolt Beacon. Send a bolt of shimmering light towards a target within far range. Forceful Push. On a successful attack with your primary weapon, you deal damage and knock a target back to close range. I am your shield. When an ally within very close range would take damage, you can mark a stress to stand in the way and make yourself the target. When you take damage from this attack, you can mark any number of armor slots. Oh, okay. Mending Touch. You lay your hands upon a creature and channel healing magic to close their wounds. Or Reassurance. Once per rest after an ally attempts an action roll, but before the consequences take place, you can offer assistance. I think I like that. We can flavor it to be like something of our spores giving sustenance or giving addition. I like that they count the shield as a secondary weapon. Shows they understand how that sort of combat works. Oh yes. Also welcome, Arcraft. Well, good to see you. Have you seen that video of the medieval fighters reenactors where the guy's like, "Tell me what the grass tastes like, little man." And then just knocks someone unconscious with a shield. You have not. Oh, let me see if I can find it. Mute this for a moment and let it load. Okay. Oop, there we go. Unmute that. Oh. There we go. And just to see it again. Bonk. That is painful. So, starting armor. Hi, Alpine. Yeah, that is terrifying. I think, honestly, when you choose not to equip armor, you have a base armor score of 3 plus your strength. Look at this guy. And use the following as your base damage threshold. 9 to 19? Oh wait, I'm so sorry. The audio wasn't there. Hold on. Firefox capture audio. And then let's see if it... No, that still doesn't work. Not assigned to any audio tracks. Okay. Close. Let's see how this works. Did that work? Also, hi, Sirenex! I didn't see your message. I hope you're doing well. I don't think so. Darn it! I don't think it did. How? No. Interesting. Properties. No. Advanced. Off. It should be active. Name is already in use. Ah. That might be the reason. Testing again. Nope. Nothing there. Okay, I'm just going to put it in chat. This is too much of a hassle. But yeah, bare bones is like, it is a full spell or a full ability, but it just gives you better armor than full plate without any of its downsides. So, I mean, we can choose chainmail, but just don't wear it, I suppose. Then we go to heritage, and we chose a heritage. And now that other people are here, I might want to rerun that poll for community. What community? And we'll go back here to the community. So we have highborn, which is kind of noble nobility or wealthy merchants, that sort of thing. We have loreborn, which is academic or scholarly or monastic, in the sense of study. Orderborn is more monastic in the sense of discipline and following a particular set of teachings. Ridgeborn, which is mountainous. Seaborn, which is seafaring or living nearby a lake. We have Slyborn, which is kind of like the underbelly of society. Underborn, which is specifically cavernous. Wanderborn, which is nomadic. And Wildborn, which is living in the wild. This is not a D&D fork project. Daggerheart is a separate TTRPG, not based off D&D or any particular D20 system, but it rather uses a 2D12 system. So you can decide what community this character is from. 2 dice, yes. So it'll give a curve, and you roll more averages, is the plan. It is asymmetric, which proper bell curve rather than linear chant. Yeah. So the bell curve is what the players use. Linear chance is what the DM uses, because the DM uses a d20. So they roll on a linear chance, and they can't roll as high as the players. So there is that separation. And the DM shouldn't roll as much anyway. That's a fair point. So, ancestry, we chose an ancestry, which is going to be the Fun Grill. We have art here. We have one bit of art, but I'm going to show this here as well, because the Fun Grills are looking pretty cool. There we go. They have specifically like decorated caps that they have that grow continuously, and so they can shape them and modified or cultivated. Tasty, tasty maths. Yes, indeed. You never get the feeling of having a duel between equals then, I guess. Can't really face off against an equal opponent mano a mano if they don't use the same system. I suppose in D&D that's also not the case, because enemy creatures don't use class abilities. We have Ridgeborn, Seaborn, or Slyborn as community. Ridgeborn, Seaborn, Slyborn. What? There we go. But I get your point, sorry. I get your point. Bye. Oh well. Captions never really wants to listen. And then for community, we have Ridgeborn, Seaborn, or Slyborn to choose. In D&D, you can retrofit the player class system to work for an opponent, though I guess I'm not familiar enough with this system to know whether something like that would be possible here. Technically, you could. It's just... it's not recommended in D&D to make player characters for opponents. I see it as making the asymmetry at the system level rather than making each monster have different exceptions to the rules. Yeah, that is fair. And look, I don't fault anyone who's a DM in D&D to make player character sheets for their antagonists. I have done that in the past as well. I kind of still do. But as an example, for the session that I was supposed to be running today, I had leveled up an old PC and then used those kind of stats and abilities to make a pared down stat block. The reason I did that, Seaborn. Oh, Seaborn Fungril. Interesting. But the reason why I did that was so that if I were to run this enemy, Coach Room, yeah. The reason why I did this was for me to run it, or for someone else to run this character or this enemy. It would be easier to pick up and just say, oh, these are the 3 options you have. I think there were like a couple of things that you could do. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Yeah. This is a character stat block or creature stat block for a kind of like a level 12 Minotaur fighter. Sentient black mold that took hold in the stores of the bilge. That is fair. And so this is the stat block that I'm going to give another player so that they can play this character while their character is out of commission for a moment, or like for a phase of the fight. But the reason I'm doing this is so that that player, or me when I pick it back up, is not overwhelmed by the glut of character options that you have as a player character, especially at those levels. But yeah, let's bring this back. We have a Fungril Seraph, who's like, I think they're like really buff, and their mycelium is grown in a way to kind of enhance that because of that bare bones ability. And I think if they really get beaten up, it would show off that like inner part of them that's kind of their actual body. I'm imagining something like, is there a thing outside of that? Maybe something like Captain Marvel, where instead of receiving the super serum, they just give them a fleshy Iron Man suit. But it's mycelium. Experiences. We need to choose our experience. Wonder if combat does inherently work as an interplay between 2 different systems, also known as player and the GM systems. Doesn't mean there are different rules for PvP, or is that never specified? That is a good question. If there is something... There is a section of player best practices. That's not about... Yeah, sorry, Alpine, I'm so sorry. It is not pleasant in normal circumstances. Does this have PvP? In these circumstances, look. I'm glad. Okay, it does not have PvP. Player versus... No. I think there are no rules in D&D for player versus player either. It's just like, okay, well, we use the rules that we have to deal with this. to be fair, with PvP, I think if it doesn't come up in, like, if it doesn't add to the narrative experience, PvP is never worth it. In my opinion. So, choose our description. Clothes that are, I would say, No clothes. Clothes that are... Makes sense from a play philosophy to not encourage PvP, but even something as simple as an enemy mind controlling a character, and having them turn on their allies would already kind of make that hard to find rules for. Yeah, you're right. It's a gray area in that sense, maybe. Body that is broad from especially brown mycelium. The color of what color is our fungrel? You mentioned black mold. The color of... Something like obsidian. We are building an example character. Yes, that's what we were doing all of the polls for. I always want this just to digest the system math comparing combat types. I bet people have done comparisons, but I'm not certain if they have gone into any particular in-depth situations for what you are looking for. I'm curious, though. Do any of you have suggestions for their clothes, their eyes, their skin or mycelium color and attitude? I'm thinking that this is kind of like a pretty chill. We're making a melee mushroom, yeah. I feel like it's a pretty chill guy. Pardon the pun, a fun guy. And he's, I think, I feel like this is a himbo. Oh, Arcraft, it's pun. Exclamation pun. Love them. Stout, lanky, squishy, what are we working with? So, the idea I have so far is that, this fungrel is generally, like, tiny, but the mycelium growing on them is kind of allowing them to look broader and more and stronger than they are. As Alpine says, fleshy Iron Man suit is so upsetting, but makes infinitely more sense with mushrooms. And I think with their additional mycelium, they are very bulky and brawny. But I think their pronouns are he, they. Could we then go for like a dark grayish core with a dynamic mycelium around going into oily and rainbowy colors? Cyrenix, yes! Technically, this would be the fungal thing that we have, but I don't think that is all that accurate, but it works for now. I'm too invested in trying to work. This is so wonderful. Okay. I hope you have a good time, Alpine. Thank you so much for staying here for so long. It has been a pleasure having you around. Good luck at work. The color of... Well, slick. Thank you. And then, kind of underneath all of the brawn, there's eyes. Like dark underwater caverns. Like underwater caverns. And an attitude like... It says an angel, a doctor, an evangelist, a monk, or a priest. That's kind of the seraph options. I don't want to infantilize them and say like the attitude like a child. Their attitude, I think, is very welcoming, very open. They're I think he's always grown up near ships. Maybe he's from a family that is all fungal, but they have their own boats or their own ships. And maybe the ships are kind of like their family and that they grow them themselves? Maybe? Attitude like an eager apprentice. Clothes that are allowing for decency. I feel like he doesn't wear a lot. And what he wears is like, oh yeah, I'm assuming that I need to wear them because of other people's feelings and comfort. So which god did you devote yourself to? I don't yet know what this character's world is like. In what strange or unique way do you communicate with your god? I don't even think he follows a god. I think he's empowered by all of the other fungrals. He is the champion of their... he's the champion of his own family, who empower him. And during a storm, his family... Guilty to a high power requirement here. As far as I can tell, yes. Yeah. Their ethos traditionally aligns with the domain or goals of their god. They are divine fighters and healers. Oh. Oh dear, it's getting late. It's a class thing, yep. So I think because of that, like that oil slick body, he's carrying the mycelium of all of his family members. A drastic change going from lanky and sinewy to brawny and powerful. In what strange or unique way do you communicate with your god? Use their mycelial spores to connect with their family and other mongrels. And don't tell me my GM wouldn't approve. I am my GM. Oh, do tell. Had a Myconid player in a campaign plant their spores in some god's realm once. Whoops! Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It ended up becoming a warlock patron. Okay. Okay. My first thought was, well, they've got a kid now. A divinely grown kid. What experience does this fungal have? I think something in the sense of sailing. ASMR Myconid. Yeah, something like that. That's kind of that. It sure is. What role would this fungal fill on their family's ship? Well, pirate. Zeus hates them because for once it isn't his fault. Nobody believes him. Oh no! Amazing. Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, kinda, yeah. God who cried, swan, and cow, and all of the things. I think Navigator would be a good one from kind of like his past, and then for their current state, incredible strength would fit. And then for connections, we don't have other players yet. But that's their experiences. And then the next would be to level up, and you can just choose like what is your level and what are the things that you choose. So we get a character sheet. Inspired hero, because we don't have a name yet. Cyrenix, you're thinking about something. So, there is a type of fungus which is called beefsteak. You know how wizards in D&D can expand their repertoire in the game world? Yes. Mm-hmm. I wonder if a system allowing players to pick up skills and abilities mid-games based on story events would be a good thing to have canonized. I think there's value in that. I know it is something that I personally would feel would be tricky, but I am also a person that is very bad at offering rewards for players in the sense of equipment and treasure. So adding that on top of that is, for me personally, a tricky thing. So, I think we need to add our equipment. This is active. And this is active. Tricky, sure. I think it may be worth it since it lets people start out being open to new things happening rather than planning out their build and level up path from the get-go. Absolutely fair. That is a very fair point. So, I think we've got our character. Beefsteak, the Seaborn Fungal Seraph. Oh. Oh, that's pretty neat. Honestly, I think that is it for today. And then maybe later on I want to check out further chapters like playing an adventure, and you're reminded of the Wild Sea setting for some reason. I think that is actually an inspiration part. The Wild Sea. From Mythopoeia Games publications, and its phenomenal settings on Reaches provided inspiration for the campaign frames section of this book. Yeah. And there it is again. I have not played it or read it, but I am certain it's cool. It has definite merit if it's in here. Would recommend it. Thank you. But with that said, let's go over here. Thank you all so much for hanging out, and I enjoyed this very much. Also, I should make Hari here a little bit bigger. Like so. There we go. Actually, recommend a pretty expansive overview video. Sai, are you in the Plainsmelt Discord? It's okay if you aren't. I'm just asking. Because that would be easier to post it in the Plainsmelt then. There is no stress, no pressure. But if you want to join the Discord with myself, AMZ, Sunbury, Ray of Swords, Stumkunst, and Wizard the Pig, then you can do so here. There. And if you'd rather not, that is perfectly fine as well. You should be able to read up on the rules and click the I accept the rules thing to get your cleared role. And then you should have access to all of the general channels, and in title deeds you can select what you want to add onto that with a different. You're gonna read the rules first. Yes, absolutely. Don't just skip things like that. No, I absolutely agree to that. Wanting to read before making a decision. That said, I hope you've all had fun. I certainly have. We've made a fun character. We've gone through a good chunk of this game, about a fifth, I would say. Yeah, something around that. And I am going to be posting Beefsteak on Blue Sky and kind of share a little bit about their story. And I am excited to see how this game works when I actually play and or run it. I am going to be seeing how fast people can make a Daggerheart system for Foundry. And if absolutely necessary, I'll just put it on Roll20. You're learning new things in these rules. Ooh. Yeah, if necessary, I'll play this on Roll20 because Demiplane has integrations with Roll20. That's the thing. With Roll20. With that said, I'm just going to put my socials down in case you... yeah, no, it has some unfortunate connotations, Renix. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you can see it out of context from what it's become and what it was, but some folks can't. Simply similar to Pepe emotes and that sort of thing. I think with that said, I would like to thank everyone for being here. If you want to continue seeing this kind of stuff, feel free to press that follow button. And if you want notifications, you can leave the bell on. If you don't, you can turn it off. But at least I'll be in your little followed list, and you can see when I'm online. I will also be streaming on Friday, and then I will be playing Timberborn, as we'll continue with our beaver settlement. Not beavers. Yes! Oh, darn it. Our beaver settlement. And yeah, then we'll have a fun stream on Friday. With that said, I have been Cress Nether. I am Cress Nether, and I will be Cress Nether for some time. I think it is time for us to raid, and I think we're going to raid Sunflare Space. Oh, that was a sneeze. Raid Sunflare's Space. Sapke? No, Space. There it is. You can copy one of these messages. I prefer the top one because it has my emotes and they're cute, but I don't mind you using the second. If you don't happen to have a sub, then you have the Twitch raid rockets. I wish you a very fun rest of your evening, or other time zone, vid shared. Thank you, and I hope to see you all soon. Goodbye!